There's no one in this room who can tell me today that you've never had conflict. Conflicts are what would lead to divorce, in some cases, to separation, to terminations of friendships. Conflicts are the things that would lead to fight, to wars and rumors of wars. Conflicts are the things that would cause persons to sit even internally and fight who they think they are. Conflicts, we've heard reported so often that someone may have said, I was born a man and I felt as if I was a girl, and people looked at me as a man, but I was always fighting within me to act like a woman. That's a conflict. Likewise, a female may say that she looked feminine, but she's always felt like a boy. Conflict. Some conflicts are easy to walk away from because if it's a conflict with a person and you leave the person, then sometimes the conflict is resolved by simply leaving. But there are other times when conflicts are internal and you can never leave you. God taught me while I was in Guyana a few weeks ago that for every conflict, a mature person does not look at the conflict. They ask God for the purpose in the conflict. Because if He gives you the purpose in the conflict, then you'll appreciate the patience in the conflict. Or you'll develop patience to endure this conflict. However, there are times when there's a conflict in your purpose. Okay? Paul is supposed to preach the gospel by predestination, Galatians 1. Before the world was even formed, God gave Paul an assignment. He said, before I was even in my mother's belly, God had predetermined what I would be. Yet I stood and I watched them kill Stephen. How could my purpose be to preach the gospel to bring life when I am living to kill people for following Christ? How is it that David is supposed to produce out of his generation and this great king who would rule the world with a rod of iron and this righteous judge, but David takes a man's wife and kills the man in a most unrighteous way? How could you, sitting before me today, be so empowered and now know that God had this great call on your life, but still you're battling to even be what He said you should be for a day? There's conflict. Genesis chapter 1. Seems as if whenever I return to you or whenever God wants to take us in a new dimension, He takes me back to beginning. Genesis chapter 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And the earth was without form and empty. Darkness was on the face of the deep. Genesis chapter 1, verse 1 and 2. In beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. It means that both the heavens and the earth were non-existent, and God created both of them. And the earth was without form, empty, and darkness was where? Where was it? Okay. And verse 3 says that the Spirit of the Lord was hovering, or still in verse 2, the Spirit of God moved or hovered gently over the face of the waters, which is the deep. Then God said, let light be, or let there be light. And what happened? Okay. And God saw the light. Now, the general translation would be that it was good. But the original translation is, He saw the light that good. I've stopped reading from these Bibles. You may need to get the Interlinear Bible downloaded or something, because I've discovered that versions are not healthy. So the original language is, God saw that the light that good. That good. Not that it was good. Because everything He saw is good. Everything he's doing is a good. So he saw light, that good. Not that is good. He's manufacturing, he's creating, he's producing good. Darkness was on the face of the deep. God created the heavens and the earth. Now, please permit me to work. When God looked at what he had created in reference to earth, darkness was over the earth. It was not in the heavens. Where was the darkness? We'll be back to school now. We need to talk. Where was the darkness? Okay. It was over the face of the deep. Darkness was not in the deep. It was over the face of the deep. It was not within the deep. And God said, light be. And somewhere from within, light was. Now, in order to not lose you by being too heavy today, I have to speak to you in reference to the darkness that was over your face. John, in chapter 1 of the Gospel according to St. John, says that light, in the beginning, God. In the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God, the same was with God from the beginning. By him was all things made, and without him was nothing made that was made. Okay, there was then a statement about light. And he is that light that comes, and he said, every man who comes into the world gets light. Every man that comes into the world gets light. But every one of us who came into the world came into darkness or walked in darkness. So how could we have light coming in but have darkness over the face of the deep? Who is the deep? If you've been in church long enough, you hear people say that there's a deep person. A deep person is normally the one who's very strong in the Word and one who has solid grounding and solid footing in reference to the things of God. But darkness was over the face of the deep. It covered the face of the deep. Darkness is if there's a cloud, it's called a cumulonimbus cloud. It's a rain cloud. A rain cloud is very dark. Storm clouds, very dark, and they're very low. So when I'm flying, I looked out of the plane and I realized something. There was New York, there was New Jersey, there was the Bahamas, there was Barbados, there was Trinidad, there was Belize. I flew over so many places, but I saw none. Okay. Beneath the clouds, I'm sitting 37,000 feet looking out at times, and I saw nothing, and because I flew into the night, I looked out and all I saw was the light from the aircraft. There was darkness over the earth, and my eyes saw nothing but darkness. But did that mean that New Jersey was in power outage? So from a perspective that's above the darkness, there is darkness. But beneath the darkness, there is still light. Because everyone coming into the world has received light, though they enter a period of darkness. And whenever there's a period of darkness, we begin to walk contrary to what the light has said. Because darkness speaks to living without understanding or information. And even if there's a conflict and there's darkness as to why the conflict exists, you'll never see purpose. I'm taking my time because I've been away from you for a while. Even among some of you, there have been conflicts. And when there's a conflict, you're trying your best to have the conflicts repaired without understanding the purpose for it. Even if you're married and there's a conflict, you don't try to resolve the conflict. Because some conflicts are divinely inspired and orchestrated. God teaches us light through conflict. But the nature of church is to avoid conflict at all cost, even those that are divinely orchestrated. So what do? We try our best to surround ourselves with people who never have conflict in our friendship. So you must agree with me all the time. Then I could call you brother. Then I could call you sister. Then I could call you a covenant person. But covenant can never be covenant without conflict testing the covenant. Some of you got married hoping that the marriage would resolve the conflict, not realizing that there has to be testing in the marriage by conflict, because the purpose of the conflict exposes the intention of the marriage. Why are we friends? If we are friends because everybody else has conflict, you are just an asset to my comfort. You're not any asset to my future. Because all you want is an escape from conflict, not purpose and friendship. Your connections must always be assets to your future, not diversion to your discomfort. And if you ever go around choosing friends because they don't conflict or fight with what you want, you will always have weak connections that will be severed by conflict. Because the exact thing that leads you to connect to somebody is that which will separate you from them. Conflict. The Lord sent me back to preach to you for as long as I'm here, that there is purpose in every conflict, and you must not escape the conflict. You must discover the purpose. Who said that your friends are only those who have never said that you're wrong and I don't like you? Why is it that the friends you have possessed, the brothers you have possessed, the covenants you have possessed, the husband you have, the wife you have, was selected because this one is the only one who agrees with me? Taking you somewhere. Two cannot walk together, Amos, unless they agree. But agree to do what? If the agreement is that we'll both escape the houses we'll dislike to get into a house we like, you are in agreement, but you're out of purpose. All right, okay, all right. So my wife is giving me problem and your husband is giving you problem. So why don't we just get together to escape the conflict on both ends? Darkness was on the face of the deep. God did not remove the darkness. He called light out of it. And in calling light, light appeared. And God saw light. Good, that's good. And God separated or divided between what? You know it by heart. Light, darkness. So the first act of creation is separation. The intention of creation, or the mechanics of creation, or the activities in creation, all day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, is all about separation. Day 7 was a consecrated or a separated day. Why is it that when God intended to create, He created conflict? So now there's light and there's darkness. And everyone is given 12 hours to do your best that you can. Then on day 2, what he did, he said, all right then, waters, come up. Let there be division between the expanse and the heavens and the earth. Division, separation. Day 3, conflict. Earth, land is separated. He called the dry land earth. He called the water sea. Separation. Day 4, he said now there has to be 2 luminaries, 2 lights. One for night, one for day. Separation. Day 5, sea creatures, birds. You fly up there, you swim down here. Separation. All right, you want to get close to God, but not by separation. You want to get close to God by connection. And the Lord has sent me all the way here to tell some of you that connection is your adversary. Because you hate separation. But you could never be going into light, being connected to darkness. Because if you're in covenant with darkness and you try to carry darkness into light, light will come out of it. Conflict. 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 And God said, everything that I see here is very good. Every creature is very good. Don't miss that. That's Genesis 1:30, I think it is. I know 31. 31. Everything God ever created is good. All right. So how chapter 3 verse 1 says the serpent was more cunning than every beast of the field that God had made. And he said to the woman, did God really say? How are you good? How is it that you're very good? God didn't make a new serpent. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Jordan. Now, Genesis chapter 2. The Lord gives us the history of the earth. And then he goes into, there was no man to keep the ground. He formed man after saying, let us make man in our image after likeness. Then chapter 2 tells us how it happens. You know that before. Okay. But here's the conflict. He makes man out of the ground, natural. And then tells man, all these trees that you could eat, all these trees are in here. But there's one you must not eat. Conflict. Why do that? Why create conflict even in my beginning? You introduce me as natural. Then give me instruction from spiritual. And then tell me if I do that which is only natural for me to do, I will die. Conflict. Because I'm fighting now between knowing I will die, but naturally wanting to do what I was born to do anyhow. Conflict. Okay, so then out of me you're going to be produced now, took the rib out, took part of my flesh, not my spirit. You never multiplied my spirit. You multiplied my flesh. You duplicated that which was natural. And put 2 natural people now in the same place of instruction. And the natural one, by my definition, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, natural, goes and is asked a question that produces greater conflict. Did God really tell you that you'll die? And the conflict is so great that it makes me begin to reason as a natural person. Maybe, just maybe, I wouldn't die for real. Because if ever I could find a voice that speaks to my conflict in a manner that satisfies my desire, I will lean to the voice that gives pleasure to my desire. Say it again. All I need to find when God tells me something I really don't like is a voice that speaks to my desire in the midst of my conflict. And I'll say, maybe God didn't say that for real. Because the voice satisfies my desire in the midst of my conflict. And that voice normally comes in the face that was very good. So God, maybe you wouldn't kill me for real. Because this very good creature is just asking me a question. He's not making a suggestion. He's just asking a question. Okay, so God says, go to Philadelphia and start a ministry. And you just hear a voice say, no, go to Boston. Because Boston is a nice place, it's cool, and you don't like heat, Nigel, so go to Boston. Boston is better than Philadelphia. There's so many other opportunities, and there's a fish, and you know you like seafood now, and there's so much fish, and there's clam, and there's, oh, Nigel, go to Boston. It's a very good creature. And my desire was never to be in Philadelphia. I don't want Philadelphia. Because God doesn't point you in a direction of your desire. He points in the direction of your purpose. And your purpose always conflicts with your desire. So, okay, then I have a voice, Theo, that tells me go to Boston. You could be my friend, and the voice tells me, we will go to Boston together. Oh, the Lord has sent me help because I have somebody to go accompany in Boston. And when I go to Philly, they told me, you could never preach here. So his office, they didn't want me to preach in Philadelphia. Boston is an open door. And you can go to Boston and the work begins to accelerate and you begin to testify that this had to be God. No! Because his instruction was Philadelphia. The face said Boston. The voice that brought you comfort took you out of purpose. How many of you didn't get married to a voice that brought you comfort then, but also affected your purpose now? If he or she was so good then, why did they affect your purpose now? Why you have to suppress your purpose so much to avoid conflict now? God, I know this is the man, this is the woman. I know it. Well, if you know it, then why now you got a problem? God, I know that's where you want me to go. Fine, go there then. And now there's conflict. Even in C.O.R.E, you thinking about going somewhere else. Where did God send you? Where did you say God sent you? So why am I not seeing certain faces who told me that God sent him here? Because conflict makes you avoid the environment that God sent you. But God has purpose in every conflict because that's how he tests your hearing. If ever God tells you, I told you before now, marry a man, you are marrying hell. You would never be able to handle that unless God help you in it. Never. I don't mind how deep you are. You could never handle any divine instruction in a carnal environment. Never. You better. Don't come tell me no more. None of you come back to me with that. Don't come to tell me that God said anything and 2 months after, 2 years after, 5 years after, you can't even breathe straight. Because God said, I will put you in it by instruction. And then I choke life out of you by experience. Well, let me help you because some of you ain't got that yet. Because the only person who obeys God is a dead one. So he said, good, let's go for the ride. Marry her. Oh, and it feels good. And then he said, in order for you to live my instruction, I will choke life out of you in the experience. And every day you say, I want to leave. You want to do what? Every time you have a desire to disobey, it's actually an announcement that you're dying to what you want. Because it creates a conflict. Do I disobey God or do I die to this desire? Conflict. And sometimes we lay in our bed at night. That's when the enemy comes. When you're resting, when you lay down and begin to process the options. And God said, no. Ride out the conflict because there's purpose in the conflict. Man has to live. Adam, first man. I know you call him Adam. His name is Adam. A-W-A. No, sorry. It's an A-W. D-A-W-M. Adam is his name. How in the world could you give me an instruction I must not eat, and then you multiply my flesh? Oh, let me reverse. Let me come back. Because I know some of you got to hear some things twice today to take you through this whole week, this year. Some of you I could preach now and go back on the plane tomorrow and you'll survive 2015. Because this is what you needed to hear. How could you give me an instruction and then put me to sleep and multiply my flesh? And then put me away from the environment of the test and let my flesh be right there. And you test my flesh in a desirable environment, knowing what desire does to flesh. Because lust comes out of desire, and once the lust marries desire, you get sin, and sin produces death. But there's a purpose in the conflict. And some of you, the Lord has given you instruction. Okay, me too. And he gave me an instruction. And then he multiplied my desire in the midst of the instruction. Now what do I do, Lord? I told you I'm standing at the airport saying, why don't you go back? You know, you see Mary crying? Why don't you go back? After all, these children will never forsake daddy like this. They got you. And there's conflict. And every time it hit me, I would crouch in the plane and say, oh God, why am I going to New Jersey, leaving these two children? I am sitting on the plane as Abraham's seed by inheritance, by promise. 12A is my seed. Who did they send to sit in 12C? A Muslim. Conflict. ISIS and believers on the plane coming to JFK. And the first one who spoke was the Muslim. The woman didn't talk to the serpent first. And he said, God bless you, brother. Good to see you on the plane. Never saw me. I'm so happy to put me in the seat beside you. And the pilot announces, there's a conflict. Let me help you now. In terms of the wind. We are flying, he said it would take us 5 hours and 20 minutes, but there's a conflict in terms of the wind. We're flying into a wind that's against us, and we will take 1.5 hours more to get to JFK. Conflict! So God extends my time with one who conflicts with my belief. And told him, talk to him first. My first thing is to say, you can't come in, no brother. I ain't your brother. Holy Spirit said, be quiet. You will spend 6 hours, 40 minutes saying nothing but kind words to a man who you know does not believe what you believe. So we talk. He said, good to see you. And I hardly talking now. Good to see you. Apart from the conflict with my children and my wife, I'm talking to now somebody who I know. And the temptation to ask him about ISIS and how you think. No, none of that. And as we flew, 5 p.m., into the evening, the sun began to go down. He took his shoes off. I'm saying this may be a terrorist. Conflict. So I'm looking at him, but I realized he was not evil in his actions. He was doing that which he was convinced he should have. Holy Spirit said, do not interrupt him. Watch him as he prays. Okay, there's conflict. So I started, he said, be quiet. I don't want you to talk no tongue, no, be silent. Because you want to conflict with what he's saying. Leave him and watch him pray. And he's on this side and he's praying. And he's praying. And he lifts his hand. And Holy Spirit said, look at this man. He is not ashamed to do that which he is instructed to do. He's doing it in spite of the journey that he's on. Coming down the road right here. He's going into a country he's never been. Into an environment he's never been. But he's still disciplined to do that which he's been instructed to do on the journey. Since you don't understand it, let me help you now. God told me to go over there. And on your way over there, there is conflict. And you say, maybe that wasn't God. Maybe it was just my flesh telling me I shouldn't go. Why? Because the conflict brings discouragement.
Yes, that's good.
But purpose always gives direction.
Oh, Jesus.
And you don't abandon your assignment because of discouragement. You keep walking because of purpose.
Yes, sir.
God took me up in the air to teach me what I'm teaching you today. I'm looking out and I saw the horizon way over there. And he brought me to the word predestination. Pro-orizo is the Greek word. Because pro means before in Greek. Horizo is horizon. So he said, before you got to your destination, I've determined you'll get there. Okay? So I'm in the plane looking at my horizon. And the Lord said, let me take you on a walk, on a journey in the Spirit, as what happened to the church. The horizon is within sight. You could see it. The assumption then is because I could see it, I could get there as quickly as I think I'm seeing. The horizon is never given in terms of distance by miles when you look at it. You never get a concept. You always get the impression that it's there. And God said, you begin to walk in the earth realm towards your destination. You're seeing it. And at some point, darkness covered you. You no longer have sight of the horizon because the natural night has come. So I can't see the line of the trees anymore. I'm now in darkness. And I'm sitting here crying to God, saying, Father, I don't even know where I'm going. Yes, you know. Because you began walking in the direction of what you saw.
That's right. That's good.
Oh, but the darkness around me made me say, I don't know where I'm going, God. I'm lost. You are not lost. You are just delayed.
Hey! Jesus.
So I'm here now saying, Father, I don't know when I'll get there. That's not your intention. That's not your purpose. Your purpose is to get to the horizon. It's not when you get there, it's the fact that you will get there.
Yes. I will get there. My God.
But I'm crying because the night has fallen and I cannot see that which I was walking towards. And as long as it gets dark enough, that's when God says, do not move. Stay right here. Because if you try walking in the darkness, the sun would catch you or it rise and find you where you begun. Or further back. Because once you're walking in darkness, you have no sense of direction. But if you decide that, okay, I will lay right here, that's patience, until the light comes, and I'll continue to walk again, then you would never lose time. What this? When you lay right here, your body is re-energizing and getting power because hope says tomorrow the sun will come and tomorrow I will see the horizon again and I just need to get up because I would have rested in my darkness.
That's my Sabbath. That's my rest, sir.
If you don't understand the value of resting when darkness is on you, you try to carry darkness into your horizon. Rest when you can't see. Every day of your life is not supposed to be met with light.
That's right.
It must be met with purpose.
Yes.
Oh, I know you get up in the morning. Father, please show me what you want me to do today. Rest.
Yes. Zip your lip and rest. Yes.
Because if you wake up when there's conflict and you get up knowing in your heart, don't lie to yourself now. I got up this morning and I see the exact conflict that I faced yesterday. What you asking God for?
That's right. I tell you.
You rest. And you wait because light is going to come at some point. And when light comes on, sometimes you open your eye and realize, all night I slept with a snake. Let me close this Bible and talk to you. But the absence of light meant the absence of fear. Because you never saw that which would scare you out of your wits. So the times when God will have to bring the light down so you can rest in a hostile environment without fear. Darkness is not always negative. Because in the beginning, God created heaven and earth, and darkness was right in the midst of creation, and God never moved darkness. Because darkness is essential to growth. Okay. Oh my God. Shh, where's Shama? There she is. Okay. And anyone else who's pregnant. The day of conception, when the sperm meets the egg, and then it moves the embryo into the womb, attaches itself, embedded in the womb. There is darkness, but there is life in the midst of the darkness. And God is forming a being in the midst of the darkness, and nobody knows you're pregnant because there's no evidence or manifestation of an implantation. All you begin to see over time are symptoms. Oh my God. That's all you see. You want to vomit in the morning, but it could be what I ate last night because you don't even know that God has just put something in you in the dark. Jesus. Hold your neighbor and encourage them today, man. Tell them something is growing in the dark. Something is growing in the dark. Something is growing in the dark. Something is growing. What is growing in the dark? I told you what John said. Every man entering the world has light, but he's nurtured in darkness.
Yes, sir. My God.
His implantation in the womb is dark. For 9 months, you are in absolute darkness. And you want me to tell you what's worse? You are surrounded in an environment that will drown your mother
Yes.
if she finds herself where you are. Let me help you then. Water. Water it's called. Fluid, amniotic fluid. You are in the midst of water for 9 months. And if your mother is in water for 9 minutes, she's dead.
Jesus.
That which is growing inside of you, God said, I will give you I will equip that which is in you to function in an abnormal environment.
Yes.
Fish live in water.
My God.
But all of us survive 9 months in water
Jesus.
and never inhale a drop.
Oh, that's God.
Because in your place of formation, water, which is the word, is what surrounds you and keeps you in darkness. You don't ingest the word, you survive in the word. When people just get saved, you don't force the Bible down their throat. You surround them with word. You speak life. You speak hope. You speak purpose. You speak assignment. You speak that you could make it. You speak, yeah, you might fall yesterday. You fall the day before. You fall again tomorrow. But it's all right, baby. God's got you. What are you doing? You are surrounding the fetus with a word that they will grow into eventually.
Water me, Jesus. Water me, Jesus.
When you are in the womb, if you drank the water, you will die.
Yes.
When you come out of the womb, if you don't drink water, you die.
Oh. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Conflict. The same baby that could not drink water in Mayoki sack now has to have it to live. God has fashioned us in conflicting environments. Nature itself, the way we came into the world, was strange. Oh, Father. So you position me in this place called a womb. The Hebrew word means pity, compassion. I'm in darkness, but I'm protected in an environment of compassion. Because God has to bring the light down low enough for you to not fear that which may be beside you on the left and beside you on the right. And once the light comes on and you get up seeing that which you slept with, I know this coming home to some of you. At the party, he was handsome. She was pretty. When you bought the drinks for her, she was even more beautiful. When you drank the drink yourself, she got 10 times more pretty. On the way to the hotel, she's getting prettier by the minute because desire is increasing. And once desire increases, your perception changes. Then we hit the hotel room. And she's even more beautiful. And he is, oh my God, I didn't know he would look so good. And then the morning came. And it's only after desire is fulfilled that your eyes are opened and you see, how did I sleep with you? Of all the other people I saw on that dance floor, you got my attention. Now you have awakened in a conflict because I have connected. Oh my God. Outside of purpose, I I have slept with that which I now hate.
Yes.
But I know that because I slept with you, you have my secret. And because I slept with you, oh my God. And I want to escape because I know that you are not suitable to my purpose. But if I try to escape from you, I will be found to be, oh my God, ungodly, wicked, bad, terrible. He's a hypocrite. I know she's no good. So to avoid all these words over my life, I have to act as if the night was good. Because the plan is, if I get away from you, I would escape the conflict. So you get into the car and you drop her off and she says, why don't you kiss me goodbye? That hurt right there, because then no. I am kissing you now with light. You kiss her goodbye. And from the time you drive off, you suddenly become an intercessor. In the name of Jesus, I break every yoke. I bind every devil. You should have bound it before you got there. I break every chain. I unshackle my feet. I loose my hand. I guard my loins. No, guard it before now. I guard my loins with truth. I will never do this again. In the name of Jesus. Oh God, I call down principalities. Power. You pull down everything. But you can't pull down your memory. And he said the memory of sleeping with that which haunts you will keep you on your road to the horizon. Let me help you now. Because again I may meet you or another one like you. But the memory would make me say, I ain't going back to this again, because the last time I made this mistake, I woke up beside a snake. Come. This was too dangerous. So, bless you. Okay, you will put back in my hand when I give it up. This is too dangerous and it is too costly. If you never had the memory, you will always repeat the act. Are you asking God to take the memory away? And he said the memory keeps you pure. Because the memory gives you a sense of warning. But you come and ask me to pray for you that God take away this thing. God take it away. And when he took it away, you met another one because the memory is gone. And you therefore learn in cycles instead of learning on a road that's called straight. I can preach that for you another time. Some people learn like this. But God made you to learn like this. Bad memory, bad memory. Bad memory, destination. Johnny Walker said, just keep walking. All you have to do is keep walking. I know you don't drink liquor, so you know what I talk about. If you should just look at the horizon and said, I don't care what happens to me on this journey, I will keep walking. It maybe get dark and I'll stop and I'll rest, but I'll get back up and keep walking. If you function by that principle, conflict never stops your purpose. Because somewhere along the journey, come to you, we better go home. Somewhere along the journey, you would see a big mountain and say, but I never saw this when I looked at the horizon. Because the cloud had covered it. You look at the obstacle. The desire is to get to the horizon. And if the desire is to get to the horizon, then you will begin to change your footwear. You begin to put oxygen tank on your back. Okay, your neighbor says, why are you so heavy? Why are you weighed down with all this kind of stuff? Because I have something to climb. And if I don't take this weight with me up this mountain, I will die at the apex of it. You don't throw away weight all the time. You must be selective in what you throw away. What I need to throw away is the person who has a rope tied to me saying, you can't go up this mountain. You can't make it. Somebody died there yesterday. The person died there yesterday because the mountain was their destination. My destination is over the mountain, down in the valley, and to this point. Don't tie me up on my way up the mountain. Let me get to my God. Even if I got to put on the strap and walk and get tired and fall asleep on a mountain, and then a serpent, a scorpion is waiting to bite me, and all these things happen, my mind is, I will get over it. I will get over it. I will get over it. That's a message for one of you in here. I will get over it. Because the conflict makes me realize that this mountain right here is affecting my ability to see my destination. And though I would use my energy to get up the mountain, I will have rest down in the valley. Okay, Nigel, help the church. The church wants to rest on the mountain. No. Rest is in the dark place. Rest is in the valley. Rest is in the pit. Okay, Joseph, when you were on your way to the palace, you had a pit stop. And this pit stop had you thinking, all of my 11 brothers abandoned me. How could God put me here? There's absolutely no way that my dream could come alive, and God say rest. Because every so often you need a pit stop to get you to your destination. And those who watch you walk up the mountain saying that all that weight will kill him would never see you without the weight in the valley. It's green in the valley. The water flows, oh my God, oh so beautifully in the valley. It's lush in the valley. Beautiful environment. But there are times when you get to the valley and you look at your hands and realize they're bleeding from the mountain. I got wounded climbing, but I could be refreshed in the valley. Conflict. When you're climbing the mountain, your body is in conflict, saying, don't do this. This is too hard, man. You know how many people could fall and die here? Why you didn't go up here? Why don't you just turn back? Join everybody else. But your destination could just be my beginning.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Some of you, up until the 26th day of April, have connected with people who are at their destination when it's just your beginning.
Yes, sir.
And you can never maintain a relationship with destination conflicting with beginning.
Whoa, oh my.
If Pastor Reginald is at his destination and I meet him at my beginning, he will never appreciate my taking one more step. Because after all, I am comfortable where I am. So fulfillment for him is discouragement for me. Because I cannot rest being where he is. This is not my destination. So he has fulfilled God's purpose, but I am standing with him in disobedience. And at some point, the light must come on. And I must realize that I love you, son, but this is not my destination. And because he's mature, he will say, Dad, keep walking. Keep going. Bless you, dear heart. Keep going. Go, Dad. And some people, God has anointed them to stand at their destination and shout you into purpose. A hater will never shout you into purpose. A hater says, come back. It's dangerous over there. You've never been there, so you know it's dangerous. I know this can happen. Come back, please. Nigel, you could get hurt. Okay then, Peter, you walking on the water. And 11 men who never walked are watching you knowing that you're supposed to die. But there's somebody at destination calling you from where they're safe. And say, come in the midst of the conflict. The winds were boisterous. The winds were raging. The winds were unsafe. The sea was terrible. But a voice, I told you about the voice, says, come here. And I am following a voice into what is naturally destruction. The 12 of them said, it's a ghost. But when he came out the boat, none of them said a word. How you could shout that this is a ghost, oh God, we can die now. And the minute one decides to walk by faith, you quiet. You're not seeing the ghost, and you're not seeing my progression. Because the storm was still in full effect. Jesus didn't calm the storm. So they are still concerned about their safety on the boat while Peter is walking miraculously to the Lord. They are still concerned about their safety while Peter is experiencing a miracle. Some of you need to hear that about 10 times to get it. They are so concerned about their situation while one of us is walking on the water in a miraculous manner. But the storm has you so concerned about your circumstance that you can't even see that I could join Peter too. How could you let life hit you so hard that you miss the moments of miracles? You don't even know how to celebrate because so many things happening around me that I miss the very presence of God with me.
Oh my God. Oh Jesus have mercy.
Every week is a test. You come in here under pressure and don't realize that the Lord is miraculously doing things among you and all your mind is on what will happen next. What will I go through next? Will the bow break? Will this boat crack? Will the sail fall off? Will the ankle be lost? Will I drown? What will happen to me now? And someone else is walking on the water. Because conflict sometimes will give silence to hope. You got married knowing, right here, that 10 years from now we'll have a beautiful house. There'll be a pool. I want a duck pond. I like flowers. I want a car. And your finances, the path it was taking when you got here, oh, you could get that and more. You were going right on track. And then conflict comes. And all the hope you had here gone out the window. Because conflict has silenced the picture you had about your future. Look how many things God called you to be. Look how many prophetic words you got. But in the midst of conflict over the last 4 months, some of you are saying now, I wonder if I could make it to December in this church. I don't issue disclaimers no more. I'm done with that. I come tell you, you realize for the day I didn't tell any of you, please be careful. Nobody told me this. I am finished with that. If you think that I got a report, then I'll preach a report. It's either way I heard. You had hope. You had visions. You had dreams. You had the desire to cooperate and do it together. And conflict says, if I stay with you, I could never have the house. Well, who was planning to get it? The two of us. I told you what conflict begins to test. If we said we have to work together to get the house, how could conflict suddenly tell you you can't make it with him? In no way, there's no way you could get a house if you stay with this man. So who gave you hope here? Purpose in conflict. purpose in conflict. Never curse a conflict. Because conflicts is exactly how creation occurred. The Lord formed the earth, formed the heavens. Both of them he did, knowing that I'll destroy both of them to get rid of evil. So he formed everything and made it good to destroy it so evil could not exist forever. There were some good things that God did in your life that have to be destroyed because they would remove the darkness. They remove the adversary. They remove the lack of purpose. They remove the obstacles. Oh yes, because in beginning, God created. So whatever happens to the heavens and the earth doesn't affect his existence. So he is so wise, out of himself he created something that looks beautiful, knowing that that is just a reflection of my mind, but this is the essence of who I am. You can get a handle at Tuesday night. He created a beautiful world. Oh, look at the world now. It's so beautiful. You fly into the plane and it looks wonderful. The heavens, the stars, he threw them in the sky and they are beautiful. He created all of that, knowing that I will destroy it for my purpose. So it's not everything that is beautiful that you should expect to be eternal. I don't know why he has me talking to marriage so much. Family, finances, leadership. Okay, got it, Holy Spirit. The marriage that was so beautiful was created to pull purpose out of you. He knew that if I make it beautiful in the beginning and then you hit the conflict, you'll begin to be awakened to your purpose. Because it's in the midst of this pain on this journey that you begin to say back at the altar, God, why did you put me there? Why am I suffering like this? I thought this was it. I swore it, my life would be better. And he said, that's good, that's good, that's good. That's the plan, that's the plan. Because the plan of God is always manifested in your pain.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And the conflicts that you face would leave you sometimes saying, Father, I quit. I give up. I'm not going to deal with this anymore. I have had enough. And whenever you pray to God with an I, he keeps you longer. I can't take it. I can't handle this. I don't like this. I am hurting. I know that you know that I'm hurting. God, I want better. I don't want this any longer. And he said, keep saying I. Because after a while, you will get to say, Lord, you.
Yes.
Whatever you want.
Yes, sir.
Then you can bring I after that. Whatever you want, I'm okay with it. Whatever you want, do it. Whatever you say, I'm fine. God, whatever you gotta do, do it. Because after all, the eyes are not working for me. The eyes are not working for me. The eyes are against my faith. So I am gonna drop the eyes and I listen to you. Anna, let's go. I'm finished.
Oh my God, have mercy.
If your eyes keep working, your purpose will never be discovered. Let His will be done in C.O.R.E. Ministries International.